Hi everyone, this is Professor E, and this is our weekly virtual meeting, and this is going to be our last review before the final exam. So we'll go over the most important concepts that we covered this semester. So I put like a lot of practices in Python that are very, very useful and helpful. So maybe I can go over some of them, and then I will probably go over the most important concepts. So before I do that, let me just switch to this. Now, let's see what we talked about this semester. So we covered the most basic concepts of programming using the language of Python. So the first thing to remember, if you remember, so we talked about the variables and the data types. So there are different data types uh, that are available. The most common are, of course, integer, and then floats, which is like a decimal, and then we have bool, which is either true or false, and then we have str, which is string, basically text. So, for example, if I put this is the name of the variable, and then I put 95. So that means that I'm choosing integers. So if I want to put print, and then I want to know what data type is the variable num, I just have to put type and put the name of the variable, and it will tell me, see, that it is an integer. Now, if I put grade, for example, and I put, let's say, 84.50, and then I print the type, it's going to tell me float. So float is another way to say decimal. Sorry, so I put num, should be grade. So that's going to be, as you can see, float. Okay. Now, what about if I put name? If I put here, let's say John. So this is a different data type. We call it str or string. So name. So anything between quotation marks or single quotes, it's called a string, as you can see right here. And then also we have, for example, let's say vaccinated, and I put true. So vaccinated in this case is a variable of type bool or boolean. So if I put print type and I put vaccinated, it's going to show bool. So this is the most common one. You may have others, but these are the most frequently used. Okay. And then also we learn how to get input from the user. So for example, if I want to get some input from the user about their name, about their grade, I can use input, the function input. So let me just delete this. If I want to ask about the name, I'm going to put equal inputs, and then you put those statements here. Enter your name. So whatever the user enter, it will be saved in the variable name. And then I can say print your name is name. So here, if I run the program, it's going to enter your name, and then whatever I put, let's say Steve. Once again, repeat this for some reason. Okay. So we forget. So sometimes the program, the online compiler, sometimes you have problem. So if I put again name equal inputs, enter your name, print your name is, and then you put the variable next to it. So if you run it, enter your name, John. see, it's going to say your name is John. Okay. And then you can do the same thing for grade. Okay, grade. But in this case, because input, this function input, so it returns only like a string. So if I want, if the value is if different type other than string, then it has to be converted. So here in this case, I'm going to put floats, and then you can put inputs. So enter your grade. It has to be converted to a float. Why do I have to convert it? Because if you want the program to treat it as a number, whether it's integer or float, so if you want to compare it or maybe use any kind of calculation or arithmetic operation, then it has to be recognized as a number, not as a string. Okay? So here I'm going to put, let's say, enter your grade. And then I will check if the grade is passing. If the grade is higher or equal than 70, then it says you are passing. You are passing. All right. So enter your name, John. Enter your grade, 96. You are passing. Now, what about if it's not? So I'm going to put here else. Else, I'm always put colon in here. And then I'm going to put you are failing. So this is if you have only two outcomes, either passing or failing. See, some here, Steve. Again, I have the same problem again. For some reason, it doesn't respond. Anyway, so we have the grade. So we have to convert it to floats. Enter your grade. So if the grade is passing, then something will happen, or statements will be executed. Enter passing. And then else, so it's going to say failing. Okay, so if you run the program, enter your grade, let's say 45. I'm going to stop and run it again. Oh, David. Oh, so I entered the names of the grade. So, okay, so if I put 45, so it's going to say failing because the condition is false. So that's going to take you to the else. And if the condition is true, then the statement after the if statement will be executed. Okay, so this is the if statement. If you have many options or many outcomes, then in this case you have to use elif. For example, you can say enter your choice. Maybe you have choices. So in this case, I'm going to put enter your choice. So I'm going to put if choice, and then maybe have 1, 2, 3, 4 choices. So if choice equals 1, then I'm going to say, for example, check my balance, my account balance. Now, if the choice is different, LF choice equals 2, then maybe a second choice would be make a deposit. It's like a menu. And then you continue. There's no limits depending how many choices you have. LF choice equals 3. Then we're going to put print make withdrawal. Okay. Then see if we have another choice, check my balance, make a deposit. Maybe that should be it. And then maybe I'm going to put at the end else. Then I'm going to put invalid. See? So I can, for example, start with the balance. So I'm going to say my balance is 500. Okay. So if choice is 1, maybe check your balance, and then I'm just going to print the balance. Print your balance is, and then I'm going to put my balance. So it's going to show me only how much I have in my account. Choice deposit, then I will ask the user to determine or to share what's the amount that they're going to use for deposit. So I'm going to put here, let's say deposit. Let me have a variable here. Deposit. So I'm going to give it 0. Okay. And then I'm going to start withdraw also 0. Okay. Oh, okay. That's what I'm going to use just amounts, amount, whatever it is, whether it's deposit or not. Okay. So I'm going to put 0 as an initial value. So make a deposit, and then I'm going to ask the user to input the amount. So I'm going to put here amount is float. Enter the amount to deposit. Okay, so that amount, it will be so that's going to increase the balance. So I need to make sure that the balance will be increased by that amount. Okay, so this is if it is a deposit. If it is a withdrawal, then I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of increasing, I'm going to decrease. Say float, enter the amount to withdraw. And then it's going to be minus. That's a difference here. Okay, invalid else. And then I can solve, for example, here. We can do this one inside the loop. We learned about the loop, right? So I'm going to put here, let's say, I'm going to have a variable, let's say, continue, no, not continue. Program, okay? Program is true. That means this is just a variable. That's true. As long as it's as this variable, I just called it prog, okay? But you can call it anything you want. That means as long as prog is true, I'm going to continue asking these questions. Enter your choice. Okay, so let me do it here. Yeah, so prog is true. I'm going to say while prog is true, you can put this, or you can just put prog, because prog by default is just true. So I'm going to put as long as it is true, okay, then do all of this. So in this case, I need to indent because I want all this F statement to be inside. So that means I need to indent everything here. So, because that if statement is going to happen only one time, I want it to happen many times. So I'm going to put it inside the loop. And finally, else. Okay. So as long as it is true, keep doing this. And if it says, okay, and then at the end, okay, when it's done, I'm going to ask the question, do you want to continue? Okay, do you want to make other choices? Okay, so let me put this one as yeah. Do you want to continue? Do you want to make other choices? So let me put that as answer. Okay, equal inputs. So that's going to be saved in this variable, right? Answer is input. So I'm going to put here if answer is yes, let's say if the answer is no, then I'm going to say, for example, that prog will be false. And that's going to stop the program. I mean, this is one of the ways you can make it. Of course, there are different ways you can do that. So as you can see, why prog? Because prog by default is true. As long as it is true, so the program is going to keep doing this and this. So answer, all I can do, okay, this one, that's fine. So let me run the program and see. Run the program, enter your choice. So I'm going to say 1. Check my balance. Your balance is 500. Do you want to make other choices? I'm gonna put yes. It's gonna because it says not defined. Oh, I have to know as 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 a string, but that's not a variable. So it repeats. Okay, enter your choice. Let's say 1. Send your choice. Okay, check my balance. Your balance is 500. Do you want to continue? I'm gonna put yes. Anything but no, because no is gonna stop the program. Oh no, it stops like this. So let me, I don't want to lose all of this, so I'm just gonna copy this, just in case something happens. All right, so let me just put this. Okay, I'm gonna run the program. It says enter your choice, number 1. Check maybe, do you want to continue? I'm gonna put yes. Your balance is 500. Do you want, oh, answer equals input. Do you want to make other choices? So if I put, if the answer is no, prog is false. And then it should go back. Oh, I should ask the question again. So this question should be asked every time before it starts. So let me stop, because that question was given outside the loop. So I need to make sure it keeps asking all the time. So let's run the program. Enter your choice 1. Oh, so I'm gonna put it at the end. So I'm gonna put it at the end. Okay, and then false. I'm gonna put here else enter your choice. Okay. So enter your choice one. Huh? Enter your choice. Oh, because I didn't delete it. I left it down. All right. So enter your choice. Number one, check my balance, your balance fine. Do you want to make other choices? So I'm gonna put, let's say, yes. That's gonna ask enter your choice. Number two. So that's gonna ask me for deposit. See, enter your choice two. Make a deposit. So I put amount, make your choice. Make a deposit. Enter the amount to deposit. And then I add it to balance. See here, could not convert string to flow. Oh, I forgot to put inputs, right? So you're gonna put here inputs. And the same thing for withdrawal. We have to put inputs, but you have to put inputs first, then convert it to float. And then also I can print here the balance. Your balance so far is balance. And then I'm going to copy this and then put it also. So it makes deposit and then it updates you about the balance. Okay, enter your choice one. Check my balance. Your balance is 500. Do you want to continue? Yes. Enter your choice two. Say make a deposit. Enter the amount of deposit. Let's say 200. Oh, balance is not defined. Did I define balance? Oh, let's call it my balance. That should be balance. Okay, make sure I have enough space. See. So let's start over. Enter your choice. And balance. Make sure it's balanced all the time. Okay, here it's not balanced. All right, that should be good. Enter your choice one. Check my balance. Your balance is 500. Do you want to continue? Yes. Enter your choice number two. Enter the amount 200. So your balance so far is 700. So that's 200 plus 500. Do you want to continue? Yes. Enter your choice. So number three. Enter the amount you withdraw 100. Say your balance so far is 600. Do you want to continue? I'm going to put no. And that's the end. Okay, so this is an example where you can use the variable and then get input from the user, and then you can use the loop as long as the condition is true. So it keeps going on until it changes to false, and it will change to false when you answer no to this question. Do you want to make other choices? So this is the while loop. Of course, we have the for loop also. So for loop, what's the difference between for loop and while loop? You can use them interchangeably most of the time, but generally speaking, the while loop, when you don't know exactly how many times you're going to be running a program or a statement, executing a statement, and the for loop, when you know, for example, here, let's say I want to say something a certain number of time, I would use for loop. So for example, I can say for x in range of 5. So print x. So that's going to print from 0 to 4. If I have one number, it automatically is going to start from 0. But if you don't want to start from 0, you can start from a number, let's say from 1 to 11. So when you put 11, 11 is not included, so it will go from 1 to 10. Okay, so this is the loop, for example. Then you can put like a statement. Okay, and then you can do the same thing for string. Okay, so you can say, for example, here, if I have a string, let's say s equal, no, s equal computer size. So if you put when x in s, print x, so it's going to, no, I put this. So it's going to print the character, each character separately, say computer size. Okay, for x in s, or you can use it with the list the same way. So you can say, for example, if we have my list equal, and then I have some numbers, let's say 10, 20, 40, 80, 9. So I can use this loop for x and my list, print x. Okay, so that's going to print all the numbers. If you want them horizontally, just put and then space. And then let me skip a line here. So it's going to print them horizontal. Okay. And then we learned also about slicing. Slicing basically when you try to get part of either string or, like for example, s here, I can print, for example, here s, but I want, let's say, from 1 to 5. So that's going to print OMPU because you start from here. That's index C is index 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, number 5, second number is not included. Okay. Now what about if I do this? If I go from nothing to nothing, that's going to print the whole thing. Computer science. Skip a line. So the whole thing, we didn't specify the starting value and the ending value. Now, what about if I want to skip, go not by 1, but by 2? So make sure the third element will be the steps. So here I'm skipping. If I want to go backward, we just put -1. That's going to go back. If you want to go backward but skipping, then you put -2. So it's very, very convenient. In Python, there are a lot of easy way to manipulate the string. And whatever we said about string is applicable to lists. So I can do the same thing. I can put print, okay, or save it. I'm going to save it in another list. So I'm going to put s2 equal s. And then let's say two. And then print s2. So here what I did, I just skip or print every other number. Let's see here, print 2. Oh, I'm still referring to this. I'm sorry. It will be my list. My list. My list. And then here I'm going to put my list too. So if I print minus 2, so it's going to print every other number. 10, skip 20, go to 40, skip 80, go to 9. And if you want to go backward, so whatever we did with string, it's basically it's the same thing. So here I'm going backward. or you can go backward and still skip. Okay. We also learned about functions also. So what is a function? Function is basically like a block of statements that perform a specific task. Now, why do we have to use function? Function is to make your program more efficient, more effective, so you don't have to repeat the code more than one time. So let's say there is a code that does a specific task, and it happened that you want to repeat the same code for a different variable. So you don't have to repeat the same code. Maybe that code has 10, 20, 30, 100 lines of code. So I don't think it's practical to repeat the same code. So that's where the function comes in to save you time. So for example, if I have a function that add up three numbers and then divide them by three to give me the average. So I don't want to repeat this. So I just want the program to take these three values and then immediately give me the average. So I can do that. I can go to, start with def, basically to define the function. And then you give the name of the function, we'll call it average. And then let's say I need A, B, and C. Now, in other languages, you have to specify what these values are, like the data type, integer. But in Python, basically the program will figure them out. Okay, depending on the values that you assign to them, that's the data type. So here I'm going to put here, let's say I'm going to add them up. Let's say sum is A plus B plus C. And then I'm going to print the total divided by 3. So this function, all what it does, it just takes three values and then give you. So if I run the program, nothing will happen because I haven't called. I need to call the function. So there are two things. There is creation or definition. You define your function first, and then you when you call the function, then it will take effect. So here I'm gonna call the function. So I'm gonna put print, call the function by mentioning the name, and then giving values to A, B, and C, because this A, B, and C are just like placeholders, okay? So you need to give values, say 10, 20, 30. So now the program will look for a function called average. It's gonna find one. It's gonna say, okay, we need three parameters. You need three arguments to match these parameters, A, B, C. So A matches with A, 20 matches with B, 30, so that's good. So now it should work, and then give you so 20, okay. Oh, I don't need this because it's already this print in there. So I don't have to put print because this one already, it prints the value, so I don't need this. Okay. We have two types of function. There's a function, we can call them void. Void, they don't return anything. Like for example here, this one does not return, just prints. But sometimes you want a function that returns something, like for example, maybe add, definition add. So it takes two numbers, let's say x and y, and then return the sum. Okay, so the difference between this function add and the other one does not return anything. It does print, but it does not return any value. And the proof is I cannot save, for example, I cannot save that function in a variable. I cannot say, for example, num equals average. Okay, 5, 10, and then 20. So I'm gonna have a problem here because it's not saving anything. That if I print num, nothing would happen because it's not returning anything. Say it says none, because it's not saving. But if I use add, look at here, if I put add, that's going to be different things. If I put add, let's say 5 and 9, now since it is returning, so it returns a number. At that number, you can save it, or you can do whatever you want. So if I put to num, num has whatever the sum is, say 14. But I cannot do it with average because it's not returning anything. Okay? So I can have a function, for example, that returns the first half of a string. So I'm going to put here first half. So it takes a string S, and then it returns, let's say, S, and then starts from 0 until length of S divided by 2, for example. So if I print, and then I call the function first half, and I put computer, okay. Oh, let's see, I think I made a mistake here. First half computer, return S, length of S divided by 2. Let me see what the problem is. It says first line. Oh, it looks like it's pointing to this. Okay, so return. Let me see if I could say here S1 equal. Okay, and then return S1. Let me see if it's going to work. No. So slicing this must be integer. Oh, it must be integer. Okay. See, or have an index method. Okay, so let me see if I have. Yeah, because it's possible that, okay, what about if I put this? If integer, this, because it has to be integer to index, because it's possible. What about if you have 7? So 7 divided by 2, 3.5. So you cannot put index as a decimal. That's why it's requiring us to make sure it's integer. So no, I think it should be working as a place. So let's say at the first half. So you have to cast it to integer because even though like in our case computer 8 divided by 2 is 4, but what about if it was 7? So it's not, it doesn't work all the time. So you have to make sure the index you are using for slicing is integer. All right, so this is basically the functions. We talked about the list, we talked about so this is basically the most important thing, the most important concept for Python 1 or Programming Fundamentals 1. If you know about the variables, the data type, the if statements, both nested if statements, and then the loops. Also make sure that you know what the nested loop, some people they get confused about the nested loop. Let me give one example before we end. So how to use a nested loop, some people they don't. So let's say for example we have x is 0 and y is 0. So let's show you the calculation. Say for example here I can put for number in range 1, 3, x plus equal 1. Okay. And then x plus 1. Okay. X plus 1. Okay. And then we'll use a nested loop, let's say for now 2 in range, let's say 1, 4. And then I'm going to put y plus equal 1. Okay, so now at the end, what is the value of x and what is the value of y? Value of x and value of y. Now you have to remember one thing. When you have a nested loop, the outer loop, this is called the outer loop. First one, it's called the outer because it's almost outside. And this is the inner loop because it's inside. Now, the thing that you need to remember about the nested loop is before the outer loop comes to the next, before the value changes to the next value, the inner loop has to come to an end, which means when x, okay, here we have x equals 0, right? And then we started from none in range 1, 3. X will add 1, so x will become 1, right? And it's going to stay 1 until this inner loop comes into play, which means y will keep increasing by 1, 1, 2, 3 times. That will be 1, 2, 3. Then x will become 0. So if I print it, look what's going to happen here. If I put, maybe I'll put them side by side to show you what happens here. So the y will change from 1 to 3 before x moves to the next value. As you can see right here, you can see here. Oh, it shows the, sorry, here, at the end. So let me just put this. Let me put this maybe here. So we can see the intermediate, basically, steps. So let me run it. And we're going to see 1, 1, was MCX stays the same. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Then x will change to 2. And then it's going to start over. 1, 2, 3. Then it's time to go to, of course, that 3 is not included. So x will move only to 2 times. Okay? So that's basically how the nested loop works. So the inner loop comes into a conclusion or to an end before the outer loop moves to the next value. So that's generally speaking what the main concepts that we covered in class. I hope you find this helpful and useful. I posted many practices, so please make sure you take advantage of them, go over them as many times as you want. You're going to find them helpful both in this class and in the future classes. There are a lot of concepts that are basically the foundation of programming. So if you master them in this class, that makes it easier to in for the rest of the advanced classes. All right. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.